Hello, and welcome to Connecting You to You Radio, where we tune in to receive the messages of health and well being that are being broadcast from the soul. I'm your host, Lisa Warner, author of The Simplicity of Self Healing. I show you how to heal your body naturally by combining your body's innate intelligence with the wisdom of your own soul so that you can break through the mental programming of limiting beliefs. Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to another Conversations in Consciousness with Lisa and Keith. I am Lisa Warner.
And I am Keith Leon S. And today we have a very special guest, near and dear to my heart. Her name is Mary Raymakers, and today let me tell you a little bit about Mary. She's a messenger of the Great White Brotherhood and a trained Peruvian master shaman. She was born and raised in Wisconsin and a graduate of the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Uh, Years ago, Mary became partners with Terry Real, who some of you might recognize as the founder of Relational Life Therapy and Good Morning America's relationship guru. He was on there for years. So Mary went around the United States with Terry at his relationship schools, boot camps, and group therapies where she worked on the clients who came to the workshops using the techniques that she knows to clear emotional trauma and pain to better incorporate the new relationship skills that they had learned from Terry. So, for those of you who read my book, you will recognize Mary, if you read Walking with My Angels, as the shaman who went and retrieved my son when he was out of his body during brain surgery. And she happened to predict all of the events that happened after the surgery as well. She has helped me with many things over the years. Um, and I'm so grateful for her in my life. She's a blessing, and so you'll figure that out today. So Mary again is residing in Wisconsin, where she continues to work uh, as a messenger for the masters, as well as continuing her shamanic healing practice with clients. Today, the topic that we are going to be speaking about is the awakening of consciousness related to ancient prophecies, also known as restoring heaven on earth. So, as many of you who have been listening to Lisa over the years knows that this is something that's near and dear to her heart as well. We've talked about it a number of times on this show. So, Mary, I just want to welcome you to this space, to Conversations in Consciousness. It's a blessing to have you.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited that you wanted to speak with me today. Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely grateful. So, do you want to kick it off? Tell us about this topic. What does it mean to you?
So, I truly believe if you talk to anyone on the planet right now, everyone will agree that this is not the way it's supposed to be. It's definitely not. You can look at the news, you can look around your neighborhoods, you can see chaos, you see um, people not operating out of their highest and best.
Mm,
And many people get discouraged because they think, what's the purpose to all of this? Well, there's a couple of things that I want people to really understand. This is not how it was created and designed to be. It absolutely is not. God, higher power, whatever you want to call that, never designed and created the planet to be like this. So when you look at what's happening on the planet, this is not what you could say is God's fault. But it's been playing out for a very long time. And I believe in reincarnation. So I believe that we've been doing this for a very long time on trying to get the earth back on track again. But people don't understand also it's they'll go, well, why doesn't God do something? Well, God does it through us. So in order to get this place back to the way it was, God has to work through us. And there are many ancient prophecies, and I have studied this for a very long time. And every time I read about an ancient prophecy, they all say the same thing. They say that there's going to come a time on the planet when the earth will go back to being paradise again, back to being heaven on earth again, and evil will be no more. Well, in order to get there, it has to happen through people on this planet. So that's what's really exciting because that means we are all part of it. Keith, you're part of it. Lisa, you're part of it. I'm part of it. And this great awakening that's happening, I want to talk about some of the ancient prophecies because it might help people to understand what I'm saying. So, one of the ancient prophecies is from the Hopis. They predicted that there was going to be a blue sun that was going to be happening. They had many steps to their prophecies. So, what ancient prophecies usually do is they will give signs that you can watch for. And that's what makes it really great when you look around and you go, oh, that prophecy said that, watch for that. And here we are, it's showing up. I'm trained in a Peruvian or the Inca tradition, and their prophecy, they actually had two parts to it. One part said that we were going to go from Homo sapien, which is actually a Sumerian Anunnaki term, which means slave, and we're turning into Homo luminous because we are made out of light and energy. We are made out of light. This is why when people look at the rainbow, they get so excited because it's a reminder we are all these beautiful colors in our energy body. That is how we were created and designed to be. And what's really great about those colors is they're not just beautiful. So we look beautiful when you can see it through your higher consciousness, but those colors have God qualities to them. So, for example, pink is love, yellow is wisdom. So all those colors have a God quality to it. So not only are we these beautiful, radiant beings, but we have all the God's qualities within us to operate out of our lives. So these ancient prophecies, when they're saying we're going from Homo sapien back to being Homo luminous, that's actually what we're talking about. We're going to start operating out of the way we were created and designed to be, and that is how we bring heaven back to earth again. So the other part of the prophecy of the Incas is they say that people from the north were going to come and help. They were going to be very, very radiant beings, and there were going to be 12 pairs, so male and female. And so, okay, that sounds like okay, people from probably North America or Europe. No, when the Incas talk about the North, we think of the North when we're looking at a map. Like if you're in South America, that would be North America. No, it's the heavens. So their prophecy is that the heaven world is going to come, and they name specifically, they call them twin flames, 12 sets of twin flames that are going to come and help us to become these radiant beings that we were created and designed to be again. What people never talk about, and this is just a little sidebar, what people never talk about is when God created us and then the fall happened in the Garden of Eden, most people are familiar with that. Well, what would have happened if that fall hadn't happened? You were created to be gods and goddesses. And when you come to a place like Earth, you get a lot of training before you come here. Because when you're created out of light. It's a male and female, Father, Mother, God says there is a need for a specific type of person, certain type of being. So these two are selected, they face each other, they pour all their love towards each other, and it creates this ball of light in between that has a mathematical formula. Let's say they need a certain type of engineer. I'm just using a crazy example. They place that formula into this ball of light, and it is the only being in the universe that is created to do this. We are so uniquely special. Everyone is. So you get a lot of training. Once you're created, it's like a battery. There's a negative polarity and a positive polarity. So it's male and female. When you come to a planet, they split in two. So when you come to a place like this, you usually come with your twin flame, you come with your purpose, your reason for being, and you have all these colors within you, God qualities that you will operate out of. Because the other thing that people don't realize, oh, God's so far away. God is so close. It's like breath away, literally. So when you're created, you're this ball of light. There is a piece of God that's placed in the top of it, the ball of light. And that is called the I am that I am, or the I am presence. So the exact same energy that created universes and planets and plants and animals, you have a piece of that in you. You can create anything you wish. And because you are created with a specific purpose, every time that energy pours down, those electrons are pouring into you, you use your intention. I love Keith and Lisa. I love being on your show. I love talking with you. All my electrons pouring into me from my I am presence now gets coated with I love you, and this is sent out to you. And then when it reaches you and you feel my love and you're sending it back to me, all that I sent out comes back to me. And this I am, this ball of light, now has rings of light around it. Like I said, we're made out of light. This is everything that we have done, that we've done well. So we are these beautiful, magnificent beings. And this is what that prophecy from the Incas were talking about. You're going back to operating out of your God qualities instead of your lesser selves or your ego. So that is one prophecy that's talking about how this is a time on the planet when the shift is happening. The Hopis said the same thing. The Mayans, everyone was talking about 2012, but what did it really mean? It's the exact same thing. They have long cycles that they were recording. And this actually stemmed from Atlantis. So if anyone knows anything about ancient history on this planet, there was an ancient culture where the Atlantic Ocean is that sank with the flood of Noah, where Atlantis was. And so this calendar is very, very long. And they were prophesying that this calendar would, when it ended this time, guess what? When one ends, a new one begins. We were finally going to be the people we were created and designed to be. It's the exact same prophecy. The Cree tribe, I believe it is. They say that we are the ones we're waiting for. There was a prophecy of the rainbow warriors coming. And what they said, it wasn't just limited to their tribe. It was going to people from around the globe. These rainbow warriors were going to come and bring back heaven on earth again. So all these ancient prophecies are saying the exact same thing. And what they're talking about is we have two parts to us. Let's break it down really simple. We have the part that I've been talking about, our luminous side, our God or goddess side in the making. And then we have the ego side, the one that I don't like you. I don't like what you've done to me. I don't like how you're treating me. I'm going to be mean to you because you've been mean to me. Nah, nah, nah. Well, that side also takes over people. And that's what we're seeing a lot on the planet right now. We are seeing that side is so activated. Now, if you're wondering why it seems like it's more chaotic than it's ever been, it's because to get these prophecies to also manifest, to happen, to come into fruition, and they have to work through somebody on this planet to make that prophecy happen. We also have a lot of light from outside the planet helping us. So, solar eclipses, solar flares, these are huge, huge jolts of energy that are coming and hitting the planet. And it's all meant to help us rise into higher consciousness, to wake us up. But guess what? Light, when it hits, it's very impersonal. It doesn't go, I'm going to hit the good stuff and it's going to leave the bad stuff alone. It hits it all at the same time, and whatever's there is going to get activated. So if you're putting your attention on being who you were created and designed to be and fulfilling your purpose for being here and for being, so that when you graduate from this planet, you'll just continue to grow and evolve and it never ever stops. That's what's really exciting. You just keep garnering more and more light around you to become bigger and bigger and bigger. it's also going to hit the stuff that we've been accumulating that's not so nice. So those that haven't chosen to, you know what? I don't like operating out of my nasty side. I don't want to be mean to people. I'm going to do everything in my power to catch it and not let it take over. It's like this Indian proverb that says, there's a good dog and a bad dog. Which one wins out? The one you feed. So if you're going to feed the nasty side, you're going to be nasty. If you're going to feed your good side, you're going to be good. Wherever you put your attention is what you're going to manifest in your life. So people are starting to say, I don't want war. I don't want us to be mean to each other. I don't want this to be in my life. I don't feel good when I'm like this. And then you have the opportunity to choose not to. That is probably the biggest part of it. When you decide, I don't want this to be running my life anymore. And then that weakens the ego side. You're not feeding it like you were. And then when you're getting this jolt of light coming from outside of Earth, it brings you up into a higher consciousness. You feel more like being nice to your neighbor. You feel like helping the lady that fell down and let me help you up. Might be a total stranger. It doesn't matter who it is. You let your light shine out into the world because this is who you are. You were created to be this way. There is nothing to stop you except you. And that is what all these ancient prophecies are all about. One of my favorite prophecies is a very ancient book called the Book of Enoch. Now, this ancient book was kept out of the Bible. Now, people would say, why would it be kept out if this is so important? Because it talks about the origin of evil. But the most important part that I love about it is it talks about the flood of Noah. Enoch was Noah's great grandfather. So the flood of Noah happened about 11,000 years ago, about 11,500, 12,000 years ago. So Enoch prophesied that was given to him from the Ancient of Days. In other cultures, the Ancient of Days is, and that's in the Bible. He's called the Ancient of Days. He's also called the Lord of the World. He's also known in the Hindu tradition as Sanat Kumara. In the Buddhist tradition, he's known as Kartikeya. He is the one who is helping us to evolve. And there were 144,000 volunteers to help him come here and do this. People that I say I'm a light worker came with that group. They came to save this planet and help it come back. So that prophecy came from the Ancient of Days to Enoch to say, look, the flood is coming. Things are not on this planet the way they should. Evil has taken such a hold on it. And according to that book, there were 3 people that had light in them. All the rest had gone evil. That was the influence of evil on the planet. So we've been on this planet a long time. The influence hit. So people that came here to save the planet on a rescue mission, how could they get sucked into this? Well, if somebody comes up to you and is so mean to you and starts hurting your family and you go, hey, wait a minute, stop it. Okay, one time doesn't throw you off guard. But if they keep doing it at you and you keep interacting with them, pretty soon you're building up. These electrons are getting coated with the, hey, stop it, not from the higher consciousness, but of a lower conscious starts to take hold. And pretty soon you've got a momentum going in that. And the next thing you know, you go, oh my gosh, I'm not being so nice, but you were mean to me. And people got sucked in. So the flood came to literally wipe out the people on this planet so they could start again. And we did. Bible talks about it, but many ancient cultures talks about a flood that came and wiped things out. So now, prophecy from the book of Enoch said, yes, evil was going to come back again, but when it reached this time, evil was going to get taken off the planet to never be here ever again. And we're all part of that. And you have to do it by deciding, I want heaven on earth again. I want to live the way I was created and designed to be. And then you draw into your life because like attracts like. Like Keith, you were talking about your community with Lisa. You draw in the people who want the exact same thing. And then that gets stronger exponentially. It's not 2 plus 2 equals 4. It's more like 2 plus 2 equals 400. Because the more light you have, the more power you have behind you. And it is this explosion of light that starts to take place on the planet. So that's what the excitement is. All these ancient prophecies were saying the exact same thing. So somebody can't come along and say, well, these people were crazy. They come along with this, but nobody else believes that. No, the entire planet has it. The Greek culture, this one is really fun. So in the Greek culture, the gods and goddesses were so close that some people could see them, other people could hear them. Not too different than what my job is as a messenger for the Great White Brotherhood. I see them, I hear them, and they speak through me. So during the time of Greeks, they called it a golden age. Same thing, heaven on earth, paradise return. Why is it called a golden age? Because in a golden age, the crown is gold. And when you're operating out of here, you connect with that ball of light, and that ball of light literally is sitting on top of you. The farther away that ball of light that I am is, the less connected you are to God, to source, your higher power. The more you operate out of those God qualities, that ball of light comes closer and closer and closer until it's literally sitting on top of you. And you start to become one with that I am presence because you're operating out of that all the time. So when you are operating from that place and everyone is operating from that place, those beings on the other side, masters, they come and talk with you. So they're also here to help us, like they were in the days of Greece. China had the same thing. You look at a Chinese culture, they talk about all kinds of beings and deities that speak. So this is not a new concept. They are there. They want to help us. They've been here. They know how we got stuck here. They got off. They're here to help us get off. So during the time of Greece, everything was running beautifully because the goddess of truth, Pallas Athena, their foundation was based off of being truthful. Well, that sounds like a really good idea for a culture. Let's be truthful with each other. Let's not lie. Let's not be deceitful. When you can be truthful, the other pillar of it is justice. And justice was very loved because the people, if they screwed up at all, they would go to justice and they would say, please go to someone and please help me. I didn't mean this. Can you help me rearrange things so it's not so bad? Because I really didn't mean it. I've learned my lesson. And she had so much compassion and mercy, the goddess of justice. She would go and say, okay, I think that we should give this person another chance. So she was very, very loved. So as the cultures on the planet, as the people on the planet, they started to lower in consciousness. Hey, I dog eat dog. I can get more than you if I, cheat you out of this. As that started to take more and more hold, the gods and goddesses came farther and farther away because the vibration, the frequency between their world and our world starts to get wider and wider when you're not operating out of your higher self. The last one to leave was the goddess of justice, Themis. And what she said is, I am going to go into the constellation Virgo because this is my promise to you. I will return to help you again. So she specifically named Virgo so that every time you would look up into the heaven world and see Virgo, you would remember her promise that justice was going to come back. And this is the time. She too is back again. So as people are raising their consciousness, these beings on the other side are able to get closer and closer and have more of an influence over the people that are raising their consciousness. So we have that layer of help from the other side as well. So all these beings are cheering us on, giving their light and energy to help us do what we're here to do even more. And then we draw more and more people in that think like we are. I want life to be good again. I want kindness. I love when I'm kind to you and I love how it feels. And I love how I feel when I'm doing it back to you. And when people start to live out of that place, more and more forces join us. And it literally starts to open a portal between heaven and earth so that pretty soon heaven is back on earth again. And that's what all these ancient prophecies are about. It's designed and meant to get us to come back to our original nature. Here's what God needs: geometry of divinity. When I said there was a mathematical formula put into us, that's what the geometry of divinity is. It's literally you are created for with a specific purpose. You and your twin flame were designed to do it together. And then you graduate and you leave your footprints for others to follow in. So, all of the people who are on the forefront, as we join forces, this chaos, if we don't put attention on it, meaning we get wrapped up in it, I say my prayers. I see something on the planet and I say, okay, I'm turning this over to you. I'm letting you handle it. Because when I say that, literally someone will be selected from heaven to now put energy into that situation to help peace come, to get resolution to things. And it will draw in the people that want to help to do that. So as more and more of us join, more and more people are waking up. So this is a great awakening that's happening because of it. So the more people that are choosing to live in heaven, they widen that portal and then it allows others to feel it and experience it. So if I'm in a lot of chaos in my life, how in the world do I re experience heaven? Well, I might come across Keith and Lisa. I might find their show and I'm watching their show and going, I want what they've got. And it's like a light bulb goes off. And that's when they say, I want that too. So that's what's happening on the planet. As you are doing what your purpose is, I'm doing my purpose, everyone's starting to do their purpose. Those that are stuck in chaos will meet us, want what we have, decide that they're going to learn how to do it. There's lots of things on the planet right now that will help you to get there. And that's how we get this portal between heaven and earth wider and wider and wider until literally we are back to heaven on earth again. So as you can see, this is my favorite topic to be talking about.
I love this. I love how you explain that so clearly. It brought a bunch of pieces together for me. Like I knew all of, there wasn't a whole lot that, like was completely shocking to me, but it was like I love how clearly you were able to articulate that. And,
Oh, cool.
I just listened to Pam Gregory is an astrologer, and she had on a guest a few weeks ago on her show talking about the return of the blue light and how the blue light is everywhere. So I love that synchronicity too.
All part of it. There are so many signs. If you say, well, how do I know? Look around. The signs are there. People are
Yeah.
talking about it, people want it. It's just not, oh, a few of us crazies are out there. It's everywhere. It's literally, they're going to, heaven is doing everything they can to get your attention.
Yeah.
So you're right. You'll get this piece, and then somebody else will talk about a similar piece, and then the dots connect, and it becomes even stronger. Like, this is so exciting. It's meant to be.
Yeah. So many things were jumping out as you were talking. I was like, if you want to see the na side, just go to Facebook during
Yes.
politics season, and you'll see that in full display. And then when you're talking about twin flames, coming down, I remember when you're working with somebody, you're not there, so you don't probably remember half of anything that you've ever said when you were working with us. But one of the things was you were talking about Mara and I and our work together, not only in this lifetime but in others. And we're definitely twin flames, right? That come together over and over again in different forms to be part of that, you know, healing, great awakening piece. And I definitely feel like I'm doing my part at this time for sure. with the film and everything that I've been doing to help people learn, right? Help people to remember is what I like to say. And I love that you said through us as well, because I hear a lot of people recently that are kind of new and they're just awakening. They're actually realize, oh, it doesn't happen through me, or it doesn't happen to me. It happens for me. And I'm like, yes, that's like the first step. Yay, congrats, congrats. Um,
Exactly.
I realize everything happens through me because that I am the creation of everything that's in my life. And if everybody could just got that one piece, like everything I have, I created. So if it's not great, how do I uncreate that? Right?
That's the key. You can uncreate it. That's what we're not victims. We can literally uncreate the things that we don't like. And
Yes.
that's why we have such power in our lives if we understand that. Because what do I need to do then to uncreate it? That's where all the help you need is there. But
Yeah.
it starts by understanding I created this. Now let's talk about the chaos out in the world. Maybe I didn't create that chaos, but anytime that I was not operating out of my best, I was adding to that. So my job then is to withdraw all that energy and then put my attention into what I want to create instead of what I don't want to create.
Hmm.
Exactly. We have to stop participating in all of the things that we don't like. We look out at people that are like, we have to fight for our freedom. Well, you're just gonna keep fighting then. Like you have to stop participating in the things that are enslaving you. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
there is no other way.
Yes.
It
What,
is
what you fight will fight you
hard
back.
fight. Yes, exactly. If I'm going to be in a fighting mode, someone's going to meet that. Well, I don't want to fight anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're not a
Right.
fighter, you're not really a fighter, then you're about to get knocked down.
We're here, the way I see it is we're here to start collapsing these realities.
Yeah.
And we cannot collapse a reality as long as we still have our finger in the socket of that reality.
Exactly, Lisa. That is so true. And that's what I spend a lot of time with people talking about. You've got to pull your energies back from them.
Yep.
So it doesn't mean let's be Pollyanna and pretend it's not like that. You still see what's going on in the world, and that's why I turn it over to heaven. Okay, you guys handle it. Because then I'm not ignoring it. I'm not pretending it's not there. But then once I've done that, then I go back to putting my attention on what kind of world do I want to create? What kind of world do we want to leave to our children, our children's children, our children's children's children? What kind of world do we want to leave for them? And if it's not that, the chaos and the insanity, then take your energy out of it and put your attention on what you want it to look like, feel like, smell like. If you woke up and I could tell you tomorrow you're going to live heaven on earth, what would you be doing? What would you be thinking? What would your life be like? And when you start to put it that simple and practical, and that's practical. If I'm living heaven on earth, what am I waking up in the morning? Well, I'm excited to see what I'm going to do with the day. I'm going to, then as I'm thinking about, well, I'm going to be now starting off feeling this way. Pretty soon I'm going to meet somebody that's in that same consciousness and we'll have a great conversation. And then I might have a meeting set up with somebody who's got a like minded, and then maybe we'll be planning a project together. And then I'll go and have lunch with somebody who's also in the same space, and we'll have this really uplifting conversation about higher esoteric things to make it practical on earth. This is how, if you start practically practicing what does heaven on earth look like to you, that's how you get there. The other piece that I talk about with people is if we've all got this stuff that we're trying to clear up and we're trying to pull our fingers out, like you said so beautifully, Lisa, how do I stop that? Well, first, I'm watching my thoughts. If I'm suddenly like, hey, what is that person doing? I literally catch it and I say, wait, 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 stop. No. stop. And I will. Some days I'll go, stop, Mary. And then it's like a jostling takes place. And then I will redirect my attention somewhere else, something that lifts me up. Go do something, whether it's throw in some dance music and dance to my heart's content. Like there's no audience, just me. Or go hiking or go skiing. I know someone, she hikes and she's one of the world class hikers. What puts her in that consciousness is when she's hiking. So for her, she can even go back to a great hike that she had, the beauty that surrounded her. And she doesn't even necessarily have to be on the hike. She's tapping back into when she was in that lovelier space, who she really was, her authentic self. And then she starts to raise her vibrations back up into that consciousness. So it's a matter of catching yourself, stopping it, and redirecting your attention onto whatever works for you to elevate your consciousness back up into who you really are. And yeah, it's going to take attention.
Exactly. And our bodies really help us with that because when we are feeling like all charged about something, that's the body going, hey, you got your finger in a socket. you know, are you going to take it out? Are you going to return to peace and calm and neutral? Or are you just going to keep
Exactly. Now, the other piece that Keith talked about, what I do with people, it's an ancient technique that I learned from the Peruvian culture. You can literally drain your emotional body. It's energy in motion. So we have four parts to our living in this dimension. We have our energy body, which is this ball of light. That's the real us. When the physical body may say, okay, I'm done here, that drops away. And what's left is this ball of light. It's your energy body. Then you have your mental body, you have your emotional body, and you have your physical body. And they're like Russian dolls inside of each other, the physical being the smallest. So you can literally drain your emotional body, and it's done through breath. You can literally, if you were to put your attention and not make it right or wrong or good or bad, you just put your attention on what you don't want to be feeling. Boy, I'm really angry right now. You can start your breath. Deep breath in, long breath out. And you keep breathing it out. And what you'll find if you'll do that, there's actually a study that's been done out of England with doing this kind of breath, and they could prove that it works. What happens is the vagus nerve gets tightened, the physical, like you were talking about, gives us the signs. The vagus nerve tightens, and then the body feels tense. And the parasympathetic and the sympathetic in the nervous system, they are meant to make this beautiful sine wave. So parasympathetic, think peace, sympathetic, think stress. Now you need them both because your stress is what's going to beat your heart automatically without you thinking about it, for example. So all these automatic systems in the body need to stay in balance with each other. But what happens when we go into these lower emotions, that vagus nerve tightens, the sympathetic starts to knock out the parasympathetic, and you no longer have this beautiful sine wave. You've got a straight line across of just the sympathetic. The stress one is taken over. So your breath will literally start to lengthen the vagus nerve again, back to relaxed and operating properly. And it starts to bring on board again the parasympathetic. It may start pretty slow, but then this beautiful sine wave starts to come back. So when you're done breathing it out, you don't feel it any longer. And why I do it with people is because it's really hard to keep yourself focused and breathing on that until it's completely neutralized. So that's where an outside help can happen. But this is just an example. People don't, I've had people say to me, well, it's normal to be angry. No, it's not. It's normal to be jealous. No, it's not. We were never created and designed, that was never part of the formula of who we are. So as we let go of that and we understand it's not our makeup, it's just a lower vibration that you coated these electrons with, These electrons hate it. They're like in a prison, and their job, unfortunately for them, when you think of a planet like this, is to obey us no matter what they like or dislike. So when these electrons get coated in that lower vibration, you literally are sending out this heavy energy that was never supposed to be this way. It was not how this world was created. Heaven on earth is not anger and jealousy and hatreds. So people need to start to understand this is not your original makeup. This is not who you are. How many times I've heard people say, it's just how I am. It's not who you really are. It's not even close to who you really are. It's like a pseudonym of you or a caricature of you. It is not who you are. So that's why you get to decide who do you want to be, this part that's not really you, but it's taken over, or do you want to be the way you were created and designed to be?
Mm.
So totally up to us.
Yeah, yeah. It's like anything that isn't that is something that was programmed into you through
Yes.
TV programming and school system and all the ways that we are programmed that we talk about a lot on the show, by the way. And boy, when you're talking about the
Yeah.
breath, I was taken back. Like instantly, I was like, I'm like, how many times is that we've done that together? I was just like,
Yeah.
oh my god, yeah. And now I understand like why you do it because you explained it. Normally we just do it. So that was
Yeah. It's
cool.
the science is good to know to understand what's going on, but you don't need to know the science to have it work. That's
Yes.
the other part people will say. Do I have to believe in this to have it work? No.
No.
You can breathe it, you can feel it, you can dump it.
Yeah, some of it you just gotta blow until you're dizzy. And
Exactly.
and then when you get to dizzy, then it seems like that's where the big shift is, right?
Yes. Well, what's happening with the dizzy, so Lisa, what Keith is describing is oftentimes during a session, as you dump the heavy stuff, what fills in is your light. And when you get dizzy, it's because you're clearing out your connection to source.
Yeah,
And source now suddenly can come in a way that it couldn't because all of these emotions and these thoughts are what block us off from our I am presence. So when you clear that, the I am presence is now there. It's dropped down literally onto the top of your head again. And it is dizzying because it's light. That's why it's a dizzy feeling until you adjust to it being normal again.
yeah,
Yeah, I love how you described about draining the emotional body. And I remember when I was in my in the lowest spot of uh, down the rabbit hole of despair. It was I would have anxiety attacks, quote unquote, and I was like, but suddenly I one day I realized, like every time there was a solar flare, I would have an anxiety attack, and suddenly I connected the two and I went, "Oh my god, I'm not having an anxiety attack. I'm feeling these energies coming in." And I just started breathing with the energies and it went away. And I look out in the world and see all these people on anti-anxiety medication. I'm just like, breathe. Like you don't need pills to do this. You can simply breathe it out. I love how
Yes.
you explained that.
It really is that simple. It's complicated because people are so caught up in it. But what they don't realize when I was talking about these four bodies and the physical one is the last one, the inside one, our blueprint for health or disease is literally our energetic body, our mental body, our emotional body in that order. And if your energy body can get damaged, if you're sending nasty energy towards someone and you get a pit in your stomach, that's an example. There's some damage that's happened. And then your mind is spinning, and then those emotions are going crazy. If you don't clear this out, sooner or later, you will start to have physical problems.
Absolutely.
And you are the one that created it. And with help, you can get rid of it. Or if you can do it without help, even better, because we have everything we need. But we're not designed to have diseases.
Right.
But you got it, Lisa. When you said this energy, extra energy hit, it brought up what needed to go. You breathe it through, you freed those electrons, and the body goes back to health again. We were never meant to age either. Our body is renewing itself. Science says every 7 years we have a completely new body. So why are we aging? Because all of this heavy stuff starts to block us off from our I am presence, which is why I was just, Keith was mentioning the dizzy, blocks you off from your I am presence. And then literally your body starts to disintegrate. Whereas you clear that, all that light comes pouring through you, you're never supposed to age. That part of the prophecy of the Incas is we're going to heal differently and die differently as this great awakening's happening. So that's why you hear people saying things like, oh, 60 is a new 40. Because when you look at pictures of people a couple decades ago, when they were in their 60s, they didn't look like people look in their 60s now. I saw pictures of my grandparents and they looked old, and I think they were in their upper 40s. Because the more light that's coming and the more we're opening ourselves up to this light and being that light. Hello? Hello? Up?
Yeah, Keith is sharing the photo of
Yeah,
the Russian
it's
stacking
Russian
dolls.
Yeah. That's it. That is exactly what we have is inside of each other. So we were never meant to age. We were never meant to deal with diseases. It was not part of the makeup here. So when you start to understand that and more light is hitting us, so we since operate out of that higher self, you slow down the aging process and can even reverse it. You can get rid of diseases now in a way that we couldn't before, or it
Mm,
seemed impossible before.
yeah, yeah. Like I'm about to turn 60 and people are like, "What? What are you talking about? How is that even possible? I would have guessed 40." And I'm like, "That's because I'm youthing."
Exactly. I turned 61 this year. I turned 62, and it's the same thing. I don't feel it.
Right?
It's not in my consciousness,
Yeah.
and it's going to show.
Yes. Yeah,
Wow.
and I was sharing yesterday that I feel like the gift of what people would call aging is knowledge, is experience, is knowledge, is wisdom. That's the word I'm looking for. That's the gift, is wisdom, right?
Yes.
Especially for those of us who realize that we have two ears and one mouth and actually are listening, asking questions, and staying in the question till we receive the answer to the question that we asked instead of just asking so many questions that we forgot we asked and never receiving the answer. Uh, so for those of you who are like just blown away by Mary, and I know you are, we're talking about the things that you've helped me with, Mary. One thing, my father was had been back and forth to the hospital many times, and he went to the hospital this one time, and I was just really clear that it was the last time. And so I checked in with Mary, and then Mary went to him and literally asked his, etheric self, is this the last time? Are you leaving? And he said, yeah, I'm leaving. And so then she told me, so then I was able to take actions from what I already knew, and she confirmed, right? Uh, and ask him, like, do you want me to come, or would you rather me help his wife, my stepmother, with all the hard stuff, the stuff that happens after you pass? And he said, yes, that one. And I hadn't thought to ask him that before, because every time he went to the hospital, I was like, this isn't it, this isn't it. And soul retrieval, I mean, entity removal. We had a house that just was like, oh my god, it was like no matter how many times we cleared, just entities were there. And then you were like, oh my god, there's literally a portal underneath that they just keep coming in, so you let them out and they just keep coming in, so we have to close the portal. And we did that, and then they weren't there anymore, and it just goes on and on and on with the things that Mary has supported me in, and ultimately then given me the tools where I didn't need to call as much, and I didn't need as much of the support because I had the tools. I had the breathing technique. I had the things, and so I can go to her for the big gnarly stuff. And then one was, oh my God, there was I had like this entity that was, for me, I know I have entity because like eh, tunnel vision throughout the day, and it just closes in on me. So I reached out to her, and I remember Mary saying, "Oh, did your mom have somebody next to her in her full care facility? Super super sweet lady." And I was like, "Yeah," and I said her name. And she's like, "Yeah, she passed." And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, she really likes you." I mean, really, because she's like attached, and so you helped us sweetly remove her from my space, and as Lisa would call, clearing your globe, right? And that's why Lisa and I, we teach together, and one of the things we realized was we had so many things that were in alignment where we teach the same thing but we put different words on it, right? So i
Right.
i call
Yes.
that I call that area my 3 feet, right? How am I in this 3 feet? How am I being with myself in this 3 feet? Until I get that right, how I am in this 3 feet, then I there's no way for me to help others, right? So I got to deal with this first, and then how am I with anybody who's in my 3 feet? Am I loving? Am I kind to them? Am I kind to myself and them? And that, and then once I get that to where I'm just loving everybody within my 3 feet, then I can expand it into the room. And then once I can fill the room with my love and accept and love and be great with everybody, then I can go out to the world, right? So that's like my 3 feet piece. And then Lisa has a part of clearing your globe. So the 3 feet is called a globe, and then you
Love it.
you clear anything, like anything throughout the day, like anything that's getting in my way, anything. I can imagine a rose, and then I can put it into that rose, and gather up all the gook and put it into the rose, and then take the rose and explode it into a million billion pieces and have it go to back where it came from in the ethers, right? And
Love
continue
it.
that process. So the breathing, this is like another form of the breathing piece that you teach, is put it into the rose and then exploding it, right? And doing that with breath as well. So I see so much crossover in all that we're talking about. And that's what I love is about all the avatars. So many people get attached to their deity, and that's the only right deity in the world. It's Jesus, No, it's Buddha. No, it's fill in the blank. And I, from a child, said they're all saying the same thing. So no matter
Exactly.
which one of them, they were all saying the same thing using different words. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about this show and people that we have on, and why I love watching, other people that are enlightened beings, is because we're all saying the same thing using different words. And it's the way that you said it today that somebody's going to be like, oh, because they've heard the way Lisa and I say it a couple times. Uh, right? It'll be the way that you said it this time, that we'll just send the light, send up the flares, open up that space where they can then say, "Oh, okay, got it, got it."
Well,
So,
what's really cool with you saying that, Keith, is those of us who came here on the rescue mission with the Ancient of Days, Sonic Mara, there were people that were assigned to us. There were certain people that we were supposed to reach. So we're all saying the same thing, but we have a little different marketing package to it because different people are going to appeal to the different ways that can be said. You
mm,
can hear Lisa say it, and then you can hear you say it, Keith, and you can hear me say it. And then that next person can be the, oh my God, because that was the person that they were supposed to reach.
yes,
So seeds are left along the way and get watered until the one that goes, boom, here's the sun, up comes the plant.
yeah,
And that's the cool part about it. We're all here to do it. We are the ones we're waiting for, is what my tradition has said. Greg Braden has talked about that. We are literally the ones we're waiting for because there are people that are waiting to hear, Lisa, how you say it, or one of your guests. That's what's really great. It's not all on one person, and if that one person doesn't reach them, oh my God, that the poor rest of the world, they're never gonna do. they're going to die that way. No, 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 no. And the more people that wake up, those people that wake up, they have people that they're supposed to reach. So it's like this wonderful ripple effect that goes out.
Yeah, and it's fun with confirmation because, like, you probably saw me and Lisa go like this when you said Russian doll, because literally that's the way that Lisa teaches it, and why we had that graphic made, because it was one of the parts of the course that we taught, and she was talking about the Russian doll at all the levels, and I love visuals too.
Me too.
People can really relate to visuals and stories, right?
Yes.
And I'm a storyteller, right? And Lisa's a visionary, and you bring those two things together, it's really, really powerful.
Well, if you can imagine it, you can create it. That's
Yeah,
why visualization is so important too. It's not just the words you're saying. If you can see it,
yeah,
it's like literally you're creating it when you see it in the etheric world. Then, as the mind starts to pull in more details with it and make it richer and fuller and more lush and alive, and then your emotional body gets so excited about that. That's how manifestation happens. The next thing you know, it's manifesting in the coolest way because you've seen it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, my angel said if you can think it or even imagine it, it is.
It is.
He didn't say can be, what might be, will be. He just said it is. And I was just like, I was listing a laundry list of things. Vampires? Hello, of course. You know, like anything that I named, he was like, yes, 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 yes. What, you think they just make this stuff up? Like anybody has an imagination great enough to make this stuff up that we see in fairy tales? No, they literally have seen it. They saw it. That's why and then they just drew it. I'm just like, oh my God, all this stuff is real? Yes, yes, it is.
Wait, now think of this even in this way. God literally had to see this world before, boom, it came into creation. So we're doing it the exact same way that God does it.
Mm,
That's why we're co-creators with God, because we are literally made out of the same stuff as God. That's why we're a son or daughter of God. God could see it, God could create it. We are made to do the same, and we can see it. That's why your angel's like, yeah, 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 yeah. Because if you could see it, it's real. We make it real.
Yeah, if it didn't exist, we wouldn't be able to see it. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, yes, yes.
I love it. So so I have a question for you.
Sure.
Tell us who are the Great White Brotherhood? We hear about them all the time, but I know that there are probably people out there like, who are they? You, how did you get involved with them?
Well, I found them in 1994, and I guess, and what I learned is I was looking for them since I was born. So, when you different traditions talk about their great avatars or saints or deities, when you come to this planet, the whole idea is you are supposed. This is a schoolroom. Earth is a schoolroom. So when I was talking about you're created in the etheric world with a purpose and a design, and you get a lot of training before you get here to help you, it's like being in school. Pretty soon you're going to go, okay, I have to go and try the job out. If I've been a painter, I eventually have to be painting. Well, that's the idea anyway. So you come to Earth Schoolroom, and everything's available. When it was paradise, everything was there to help you. So the little elemental kingdom, they're like little kids. They're wonderful. They can't wait for heaven to come back to Earth too. So we would play with them and interact with them, and the angels would be here, and they'd be helping us, and we'd be trying out our skills as a God-free being. And if we didn't like something, we would undo it. And because we're made out of light, we can use these colors to our advantage. So, for example, the violet light, which is the age of Aquarius that we've just entered into, is violet and or pink and blue. So the reason I'm mentioning violet is because when things were able to be more disposed of, it wasn't so dense and heavy. We would take this violet light. The pink is love, so You know how love melts our heart? So it also melts dense stuff. So we'd apply this light to something that we go, oh, that didn't turn out so good. We'd apply this violet light, and the pink would come in and melt it, and the blue would come and restore it to its original blueprint, so you can do something else with it then. So we came here to be able to create and expand and pull more light, and the more mastery we got, pretty soon we're vibrating at a rate, a frequency that's too high for the dimension, even if this was heaven on earth. We graduated and went to another dimension that was more in our vibration, a higher place, you could say. And that's where I was saying earlier, you keep growing and evolving. You keep raising your vibration, you keep pulling more light around you. So when you graduate, you're called a master, an ascended master. Jesus ascended, but he's not the only one. That's why all these different traditions talks about their saints and deities, because most of them came to this planet and they graduated, and then they kind of hung around in the heaven world around surrounding planet Earth and are here to still help. So like when I was talking about the goddess of justice, Themis, her quality is purple, and it's justice. It's also opportunity. So each one of us, we're growing in mastery, growing in mastery, growing in mastery. And when you graduate, you're an ascended being. And then as you keep continuing to grow and evolve, then you can become a cosmic being. And then you can become a solar logoi, and it never stops. You keep going and going and going. So the Great White Brotherhood is the collection of all of those who have graduated from this planet or stayed in the heaven world, because some never came here. Some just never came to this planet, but they're still part of it. So the Great White Brotherhood, why they're called white, is because really the source of everything is white light, and all the colors come out of it. So it's not a racial thing, it's just a light thing, it's an energy thing. So the Great White Brotherhood in the heaven world or surrounding planet Earth is here to help us remember who we are. They graduated, so they know what we're going through and they can help us through the pitfalls. And they will give us really practical advice on how you can get out of the situation you're in. So anyone who's attuned, like a dog can hear in a frequency that we can't hear in typically, if you could attune your hearing, you could hear what the dog could hear. You probably have to raise your vibration, but it's there. That's how when people go, well, I can't hear it. Well, maybe you haven't attuned yourself, like the dog's ears are tuned to that. Sight is the same thing. You can see into these other dimensions when you're attuned to the frequencies of these other dimensions. So the Great White Brotherhood graduated from this planet. There are those that didn't, but are here helping because they look at this planet and they think, if only these people would remember who they are, they wouldn't operate that way. They wouldn't act that way. I'm going to help. I'm going to give them all the help that I can, because if I added my life to what they're doing, it's going to make it even easier for them to do it. So that's what they're here to do. They're here to help us. They know how to help us get out because they've gone through it like we have. And they are just waiting to help. So that's why Jesus is still hanging around. Kuan Yin is still hanging around. There's Krishna's hanging around. Buddha's hanging around. They're hanging around, one, because we've been around them and we know them and we love them. But two, they love us so much and know that if they can add their light to what we're doing, it makes it all so much easier. So that's how heaven and earth also can come back into being. As we're raising our vibration, they're also lowering their vibration to help us until there's literally this merging that takes place. And they are wonderful to talk to. So many embodiments, I have done service as a messenger for the Great White Brotherhood, and this is one of my final time. Well, this is my final time around. This will complete what I came here to do, is to be their mouthpiece to tell them what they see we could do differently or better, or how could you attune yourself better. Like Keith literally had an angel come in the physical. The prophecy for them is as more and more people raise their vibration, pretty soon they will be in a physical body. So we'll all experience what Keith did at some point. Mm. So the fact that Keith had it on the forefront, he's breaking ground so that this can happen. If it happens to one, it can happen to all.
Right.
and more people then can start to experience that. And
Mm.
that's why when Keith talks to people about, well, have you had experiences with angels? And it attunes people to that. So they start to get their frequencies adjusted to that heavenly world, and it becomes more and more possible.
Mm. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love that. Yeah,
Mm.
I could see the amnesia when I was 2 years old. I was like, "Nobody knows who they are." It was quite terrifying, I have to say.
Well, yeah, because how did I end up here? This isn't where I came from, clearly.
Yeah, I could see that it was a prison, and it's like, "I've been sent to prison with all these people who don't know who they are. What happened? Why did I draw the short straw? Like, what
Yeah.
did
Where
I
are my
do?"
people?
Me too. And I looked around at my family too, and I was like, "What?"
Like, "Who are these people? I don't know them."
Well,
None of that.
I have viewed that as a gift
Yeah.
because when people come to you and you've gone through something, they can feel it. They don't look at you and you're there to help. And what do you know? You were born with a silver spoon in your mouth. When
Yeah.
you've gone through it, other people feel it. You don't even have to say it, you can feel it.
Yeah.
And then you got out. Wow, maybe you have the answer on how I can get out. And that's not actually even how the masters view it, too, for
Yeah.
helping us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can feel when somebody's gone through stuff and I have compassion. I know I can help them out of it. And if they need my help, but that's really where our gift to help people is.
Yeah.
I know what you've gone through. Oh my God, I've been there.
Yeah.
And then you feel that relief of, oh, I found my people because they get me.
Yeah.
So it felt awful at the time,
Yeah.
but it's actually a gift in the long run.
Yeah. Before we close, my favorite story about that was I got myself booked to speak at a high school in Vermont. And so I'm sitting in the parking lot and I'm getting ready to go in. And I'm looking at the teenagers and how they're treating each other and how they're acting. And I'm like, what was I thinking? Like it took me back to high school and how people were with each other and just I knew I was just going to be met with arms closed because now I'm going to speak to these kids, and so they filled the whole place, the auditorium with everybody. And so it's just like many hundreds of kids at the beginning. And so I just did, there's the piece at the beginning of every speech called Earn the Right. And I was like, so these are the first words. So I know what you're thinking. Who is this guy and what on earth has he got to tell me? And what right does he have to tell me anything? And so I said, so let me tell you about me. And then I started and I went through my life story. I went through my childhood. And in that story is anything and everything that's awful that you could ever think of, like, is there. So I just kind of told my story. And then I said, and I watched arms unfold and people sit forward and people like in shock. And, at the very end, so then I just said, so if you have anything that you think that I haven't heard, go ahead and raise your hand right now. I'd love to hear it. And like no hands went up. It was just like crickets. And I just said, so let's get started. And then I did my talk. And there was like a line of kids willing to be late to class with the vice principal standing next to me who wouldn't go to class until they got to speak to me. And then they came up and said, how the talk had changed them, made a difference in their life. And it's like that's following the inner guidance. That's me facing my fears. I hated school. Like why I would ever go back there voluntarily is beyond me, and that energy, right? But I knew like today I made a difference, right? And that's for me. It's just stringing together a series of days where I made a difference is why I'm here because it all goes out, right? It all goes out in waves. Anybody I touch then touches somebody else. It's like a
Yeah,
shock wave of love.
exactly. That is exactly how we're going to bring heaven back to earth again.
Yes. Yes.
We go into the pit, so to speak, and we let our light shine and we share our stories, and it touches their hearts because they go, wow, they're like me. And then the next thing you know, you're raising their consciousness in a way they never expected, and it just is effortless
Yeah. Yeah.
and magical and beautiful all at the same time.
Yes. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much. And my favorite topic. It's what I live for. So I appreciate being able to share with the two of you. This has been delightful.
It certainly has. It's been such a joy getting to know you, Mary. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, truly.
All right. Well, we will see you all soon on Conversations with Consciousness. Join us next week.
Thanks
Until
for joining us, everyone. Until next time, create for yourselves a great week because you can. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Connecting You to You Radio. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share it with your friends. Are you ready to discover more about how simple healing your body can actually be when you do it from the higher wisdom of your soul? To learn more about what I do and how you can work with me, visit connectingyoutoyou.com and get on my mailing list to be the first to know about my latest offerings. If you'd like to interact with me on Facebook, please join my group, Soul Sourced Healing. Check the show notes below for these links and more. I hope to see you again next time on Connecting You to You Radio.